Okay, I believe that we are now officially live. Welcome to Fantasy Bible Sunday Mass, our every Sunday live show where we help you, set your lineups, update you on any injuries, and just kind of talk about the slate of games that we got going into 1 p.m. and beyond. And Dane, the question that's on everyone's mind: when are we getting season 2 of Arcane?
Oh man, not soon enough. Yeah, that is the question on everyone's mind. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Probably a year or two, like probably 16 months. But I don't know. I believe they've already started something with at least writing and production. But
So we're definitely getting a second season.
yeah, absolutely. That,
Awesome.
that much I do know.
Yeah, I'll just wait till we get any questions in the chat here. But to keep talking about Arcane, it's like one of the best shows I've seen in a long, long time. Like I'm trying to think of shows where like I was glued to every second of what was happening on screen, and like there were no like B stories that didn't interest me, or like everything feels important and everything feels like it makes sense. It's just really, really up there, and I hope that people don't let the League of Legends kind of subtitle turn them off, because me, I've never played League in my life, and I found it to be incredible.
Yeah, I think that's what's most interesting is that it transcends, just fanfare, fan pleasing, whatever you call that. I can't even really remember the word for it, but yeah,
Fan
it's just
service.
there you go, fan service.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just a great show in its own right. I'm surprised how well it was written, the storyline, all the politics involved, and you know, the seedy underworld, crawling up and conflicting with the upper echelon of society, and pretty cool story. I mean, very
Yeah.
real.
The political dialogue is so subtle and like effective. Like when I forget her name, but the woman that's on the council, her mother arrives, and her mother has like a conversation with like to manipulate the Talos guy into building a weapon and stuff like that. And it's just like
Mhm.
it's all done so very well. It a lot of times it reminds me of like what the early Star Wars prequels like aspired to be, but never had that like sense of tension or drama behind, like, because you understand everyone has a good point of view, like from the villains to like everyone's motivations make complete sense. And
Yeah,
I really like to see that.
yeah, the art style is very captivating too. It just draws you in immediately, especially they start out pretty fast with some action scenes and dynamic angles, stuff that you would see in any good action movie or something. And it was, yeah, they took it from there, and every episode seemed to just get even more good. Drew you in, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic action. I was watching the first episode on a plane, and Rebecca was sitting next to me, and she was just like, afterwards she was like, were you watching a show based on a video game? Because it just like looked that way to her, and I was like, yeah, and I think you'd like it. And she's started watching it and really enjoys it as well. So yeah, that's welcome to Arcane chat.
Yeah, yeah. All one viewer of ours. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, if you have any fantasy football related questions, feel free to throw them down in the chat. I only have like one league where I'm really in playoff contention, and it's a league where I was planning on starting Tony Pollard. Like pretty much everyone on my team is like dead there, so I probably won't be squeaking into the playoffs, especially because I played against the Najee Harris owner. So I don't
Mm.
have a lot of fantasy football related personal queries. Do you have anything that you're looking at going into today?
I don't have a lot of like tough decisions to make, I guess, but I mean, Emmanuel Sanders is somebody I don't feel good in my starting lineup, but it's a full PPR league. I need to win to make the playoffs. He's in my flex right now, and the only people I could pivot to is Jermichael Hasty or Marvin Jones on the Jaguars, or maybe Jalen Guyton. You think is a better start than Emmanuel Sanders this week?
Um, Marvin Jones could get a squeaky wheel treatment. I don't know if you saw that news that coming about that, like how he's the most respected veteran in the locker room, and
I
he's had to
did,
been corralled back into the fold after Urban Meyer pissed him off. I
yeah.
I like I have you seen the new sleeper squads feature?
I've seen it. I haven't dove into it. What's your take on it? What do you think?
Well, it's something that I would never really do if I didn't have money in the sleeper app from that promo that we did. like when we switch to sleeper, but you can use that money for the squads, and it's essentially like you bet player props, and it's very similar to the prize picks, the betting platform prize picks, where you just kind of pick a series of over and unders, and the more you group on one ticket, the better your odds payout is.
Hmm.
I mean, it's kind of just a more streamlined version of betting player props through like a bet MGM service. What's kind of neat about it is like you can, like, it's organized when you go into it, it's organized on the players on your team. So like if you had, like, I don't know, one league or something like that, and you really felt strongly about these players, you could like make the week to week matchup more interesting by putting $5 on, Nick Chubb and Antonio Gibson hitting an over of a certain amount of rushing yards and stuff like that. So that's all of that is to say is, even though I don't own him, oh my God, David Johnson's on the COVID list now. I don't even think he was on that list this morning.
I'm not even sure. There's been a lot of COVID list names. Daryl Henderson is one big one. For anyone stashing Sony Michel, that should be, I mean, he could be a top 12 running back this week. You love to see that if you're starving for running backs. Um, yeah, I mean, it's hard to keep up. The Lions have a bunch of people going on the COVID list. Man,
Yeah, I got distracted because now I need to figure out who I'm going to start in the flex here over David Johnson. I was trying to beat Grant for you, but that is not going to happen. All right, Nico Collins, it's your time to shine. Step up into the fold, Nico. All right, I'm starting Josh Palmer, Nico Collins, and Godwin Igwebuike in a league today, just to paint a
oh
picture of these
gosh.
dire straits.
Yeah,
But
there,
yeah,
there goes my playoff hopes in
yeah.
Dynasty.
I'm sorry, man. It's like the Eagles are on bye. Elijah
I
Mitchell is
know.
out. It's just Kadarius
Uh,
Toney is out. My entire roster is just decimated here. But what I was trying to get to in that Urban Meyer squads rant was that I think James Robinson is going to have a good game today.
I think so too. I think if I were to start any Jaguars, it would be only James Robinson. I'm not willing to put Marvin Jones in there. Despite any theory that he might be getting a squeaky wheel treatment to make him happier, but I don't know. I just can't start a Jaguars offensive piece other than James Robinson.
I think Sanders is definitely the start there, considering that
Yeah,
they're playing against the Bucks depleted secondary, and that it's if the Bills don't win this game, they can't win the division. I mean,
right.
they could win the division. No, actually, I think
I
like
don't think so.
I don't think they can win the division if they lose this game. So it's a true must win game for them. Obviously, they're in good position for the wild card, but it's looking like they could end up playing like New England at home, and obviously they don't want to do that. So yeah, this is a must win game for them, and I think they're going to come out firing on all cylinders. So I like the Emmanuel Sanders start personally.
All right.
Yeah.
How about, so this is in PJPL. How about, so I have AJ Green and Tyler Boyd currently starting in my lineup. I don't love that. I could pivot to Jermar Jefferson, running back for the Detroit Lions. Obviously, Godwin, how do you say his last name again?
Igwebuike, I think.
Igwebuike. Yeah, he's going to be the third down guy getting those targets. So I'd feel better playing him. But do you think Jermar Jefferson has a safer floor than AJ Green and Tyler Boyd this week?
Um, I think he has a safer floor than AJ Green.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. But then the Arizona Cardinals play a divisional game against the Rams. So, I mean, it could just be explosive or it could be just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to start AJ Green. So I think I'm going to have to go with a Detroit Lions running back who is not DeAndre Swift or Jamal Williams. And that scares me.
I mean, look, Jamar Jefferson's a rookie, so at least he has that kind of like rookie juice of like,
Got
and
to prove it.
he's about the same size as DeAndre Swift. He's actually a little bigger, but so maybe he can perform in similar fashion. I mean, look, uh, he had 3 attempts for 41 yards a few weeks ago. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he did have a great run in that Pittsburgh game, and that's really what I'm clinging to here, hoping that I get a little bit of that kind of juice. I mean, the Denver defense hasn't been as good as you would think, despite them appearing to be good. I feel like they're I don't know. They're exploitable matchup, but it's not a guarantee, especially with the Lions. I'm just afraid the Lions are missing so many players with sickness and illness and injury that, like, what if they just don't score any
Yeah,
points?
what if like what if Jamar Jefferson gets 18 touches and they all go for 2 yards and that's like,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah. Um Also this message from Danny is hilarious about the baby's christening.
Oh yeah, what is going on there? Pretty
um
funny.
it's tough because I mean he might beat me, but I think I'm gonna knock him out of playoffs.
Yeah, if you win, he has no shot. He needs to win, and then he needs me to lose, basically, or Cole to lose, something like that.
Man, I really was one win out of playoffs. Like or one win out of playing for playoffs this week. It's like
Yeah.
it's so clear that I overextended myself in this year because in like almost every league I'm at like 7-7, which is just like if I had like three less leagues and been paid I lost in the football is life league because I started Tony Jones and like during the Saints bye or something like
Mm,
that because I just wasn't paying attention.
yeah.
It just like slipped my mind. Like if I just had consolidated a little bit, I would have had such a better year. But just little mistakes have added up, and I'm hovering around 500 pretty much everywhere.
Side note, complete segue, but did you notice how the only activity we've got from Anthony has been responding to the Demarius
Demarius
Thomas news?
Thomas thing,
It just
yeah,
pops in like he's been active and setting his roster for the
yeah,
past 10
yeah,
weeks
yeah. He's like,
and
what the
then
fuck?
dips
What
out.
happened?
What are you doing, dude? Get out of here. Stay out of here if you're going to be out. Don't be like, and he didn't even set his lineup. You know what I mean? He
He
pops
did.
in.
He came in to say that and didn't even say that's hilarious. Yeah, terrible, terrible, terrible fantasy football player.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe he's a good actor, who knows, but not good at the fantasy thing. Um, yeah, that was kind of funny. Although, of course, rest in peace to Demarius Thomas. Demarius
Yeah.
Thomas, one of the first football players I ever drafted in fantasy football.
Yeah, he was electric alongside Emmanuel Sanders on the Broncos for a few years. It was a lot of fun to watch. I believe they did kick the Patriots out of playoff match during one of those years, and I did not enjoy seeing that. But it's good football. Good. Glad we got to see him play. I wish he wasn't so unlucky. That's a terrible thing to happen. But do you think that's going to like inject some motivation into the Denver team and just obliterate the Lions? Like that's what I'm worried about when I start Shamar Jefferson.
I don't really believe in that stuff.
Okay.
I think it seems to happen a lot where like someone just had a baby and then they catch the touchdown and then they're cradling the ball like a baby. Like I'm pretty sure some of that stuff is probably scripted up, but um, I don't know if they're going to have that. I don't know. I mean, I don't think the Broncos are going to have a trouble with the Lions to begin with, but yeah, I don't think they're going to have any like extra juice. I mean, no more extra juice than the Lions will have coming off their first win.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point. Yeah.
Do you
Lions.
think that the Cowboys are going to have extra juice because they flew in their own benches?
Oh yeah, that's pretty baller. Yeah, the posturing between the Cowboys and the Washington football team has been kind of stupid this week. Like it's silly. They're trying to make it a story, and it's like it doesn't feel like a story. It's just a divisional matchup, and Jerry Jones and what's his name, Mike Ron Rivera are just kind of like taking jabs that I don't know. Why did they get reported about? It's not like exciting. It's just like Mike McCarthy told his team they're definitely going to
They're
win.
good, definitely going to win. And like someone summed it up so well. They were like, Mike McCarthy said that they were going to win, and Ron Rivera told his team to stay focused.
Right. Like, why are we reporting on this? You could pull those quotes from every single locker room in the league. Like,
Like,
why are we doing
yeah, literally leading up to any matchup. I just think there's like they're just trying to juice up that matchup this week. I thought for a while because of how overjuiced that matchup was getting in the media that it must be the Sunday night game, but it's not even the Sunday night game. It's
No,
the
one
Sunday night
o'clock.
game, some terrible game between the Bears and the Packers. It's just a 1 o'clock divisional matchup, but I mean, I'm excited to watch it. Like I won't be rooting for either team, but if the Cowboys win, it's a lot better for the Eagles' playoff hopes, since they're basically competing directly alongside the Washington football team. It is just kind of funny, all the narratives that have been in the media this week, leading up to culminating in the bench purchase or the flying in the benches, which apparently was done because the Washington football team benches, unsurprisingly, at FedEx Field, the heating elements, I guess, were not working, and that's why. And just like that wouldn't happen in Philly because Jerry Jones would know that those benches aren't making it out of there alive. And it just like speaks to the general lack of juice as the Washington football team fans. Like the shot of the blue and white benches against like
Right.
the Garnett thing, like it would be that would not fly in Philly. But what are you going to do? It's they know that FedEx Field is a terrible stadium, and they know that the team is terrible.
What would happen in Philly? You think they would just assault the
I think
movers?
they would be chucking bottles and beer and everything that they could to
Oh
get
my
those things
gosh.
off, and they would be waiting outside of the stadium to make sure that they didn't get back on the moving truck.
What a fan base, man. What
Yeah, that's how you do it. You get violent. Um, the other thing is like you would think that the Washington football team was like 8-2 or something going into this matchup.
Yeah. I mean, I'm starting Taylor Heineke in our Superflex league. I hope he gets me like 15 points. That would be all I really need. But I don't know. He's had some games, and
He's
what
had
if
some
this is one of
games.
them? I hope not, though. I did bet on the Dallas Cowboys this week. So
I think the Cowboys are such a better team, and their defensive line is like fully healthy. I think for the first time all season, with DeMarcus Lawrence back, Randy Gregory, Micah Parsons. Like, I just think they're going to eat the football team alive, which isn't like a crazy hot take or anything like that, but you would think it is based on how the odds have been set and the media
mhm.
narrative. That you bet on them in that parlay that you fired.
Yeah, I need Dallas by 4.5, Ravens to lose by less than 2.5, and Chargers money line. Chargers money line should be just a free little, foundation for the bet. That's all I threw it in there for, just a little bit of a better odds.
Who are the Chargers playing?
The New York Giants,
Oh,
spearheaded by none other than Mike
Michael
Glennon.
Glennon. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that one. I kind of want to fire on that 9-team parlay that Jacob
Jacob did.
put together, but I don't think that's going to hit. There are just some matchups on like I think the Bills could beat the Bucks, and that'll be that, and there's bound to be at least one upset. But
Exactly.
I do hope that he hits it because that would be legendary.
That would be. I think he'd win like $500 or something. That's pretty good.
Yeah, all on the back of Boomy.
Yeah, that little dog. What a what a blessing he has
It would
been
have been
on us
such a loss. Like we would have lost so much money this season if it
without
wasn't for
Boomy.
Boomy, which is crazy to say. Um, and yeah, he knows what he's doing. I mean, like every once in a while, like I'll have doubts. Like for the past couple of weeks, even though he's hit a lot of them, I'm like, oh, he's just picking one on the right side, and then he goes and picks the Vikings on the left side, and I'm like, okay, there's something here. There's something here. Um, and man, was that game came down to a sweat.
I know it shouldn't have been 29-0 in the third quarter. And then they're like, you know what? We don't want to play football anymore. Let's give the Steelers a chance. And
Yeah,
they really could have messed that whole thing up in the last minute of the game. Like, what? Gosh. But Boomy
yeah.
knew. Boomy knew.
Really knew that Pat Fryermuth was going to drop that pass, or what I think that's how it ended.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know about you, Dane, but because I'm like out of playoffs in pretty much every league except one, and I don't have great chances in that league. Actually, there are a couple leagues that have a 16 playoff that I could squeak in, but who really knows? I'm very excited to watch football with like very minimum stakes.
Yeah. I agree. Like, I'm not in the same boat. I had, 4 leagues I'm on the cusp of. So I'll be sweating it out this week.
But
But
next week will be great for you. Well, you'll be in playoffs probably in some, hopefully in at least one of those leagues. But either way, you'll be able to focus on just that team and
right.
just kind of like, not wonder if every time scores a touchdown, is that someone I own and someone I started this week, which is kind of the
Yeah.
case when you've got too many leagues here. Yeah, looking forward to refining this down and also starting our Superflex Dynasty League. It looks like I will be the owner, unless something crazy happens, the owner of the number one overall pick in our dynasty draft.
Yeah. I think you got it pretty much locked up, unless, Grant drops a goose egg or something. And then I think you're one game behind, or no, you're tied with Raphael. So if Raphael loses and then you somehow squeak a victory in there, that's the only case where you wouldn't be first pick. But yeah, I mean that's a victory in its own right, I guess.
Oh, I had two amazing losses the past 2 weeks. Like I lost to Jeremiah and Raphael, who were the two people ahead of me. It was just like so wonderful to drop those games and get that number one overall pick. Brees Hall, welcome to the Goblins. Unless someone bids me out of it, that's probably who it'll be. Although I'm super excited. Like Dynasty just makes the draft even more exciting.
Oh yeah, yeah. It puts a spotlight on everyone coming into the league. It makes them a lot more exciting for fantasy because typically there's one or two rookies a year that kind of pop for redraft leagues. But yeah, you can just throw a bunch of darts at the board with these rookie drafts, and it gets a lot more exciting. Like you said, it makes it worth watching a lot more to follow those narratives. I do want to comment about Dynasty. It's kind of annoying because like not annoying only for selfish reasons, but like I need you to beat Grant, right? But you have every motivation to lose that game. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
it's like
right.
it's like a little weird in that aspect where it's not necessarily, I don't know, a fair competition down the stretch because everyone has different motivations, and obviously that makes sense. And I get that, and I'm not refuting that that should exist, but it adds a different element, I guess, that you can't really count on somebody to lose a matchup if you're trying to catch up to somebody.
So what I've been trying to do, and what I think Jacob should make a rule, is that you can't set a lineup that's outside of 15% of the projected total. Like if you look at the lineup that I'm playing against Grant, like yes, I have no incentive to win, but I'm also starting the best possible lineup that I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we should add some clarity to that going forward, to where even if it's just you have to start active players, or like you can't start a 0% started, something like that. I don't know, but
Yeah. I think like it should be like, you can't like if your top projection is 120 points, you can't set a lineup that's 90 points or something like that. You have to be within 15% of your projection with the players you start. I think is that'd be like a tough way to calculate it, but that's
yeah,
what I've kind of been thinking in my mind is like, like if like I could pick up I don't know, some quarterback and start him over Russell Wilson right now, but I'm not going to do that obviously because that to me is like an obvious tank versus just like, hoping that you lose.
yeah, I think it's a good conversation for the off season. We can find a solution that works for everyone. Yeah, I think that
I've,
should be addressed.
I've seen a lot of teams do it like with points for and stuff like that. Like it it's calculated via points for, which I guess is actually I'm trying to remember how they do it, but I've seen teams that have ways of getting or leagues that have ways of getting around it.
Mhm.
That said, it would be fun if I do beat Grant, but I don't think that's he messaged me and he was like, just saying you have to lose to get the number one pick and I have to win to get into playoffs. And I was like, I don't think you're gonna have any issue there, man. Like you don't need to convince me to set a faulty lineup. Like I my lineup is faulty by virtue of every starter is projected for 0 points this week.
Yeah, and I need that miracle. I've got to win my matchup. He's got to lose his. It's not looking great. I give myself like 15% odds maybe, but
Give
that's all
yourself
right.
38% odds at least, because that's what Sleeper has as my win percentage.
Well, yeah, so let's say we both have 50-50 odds of winning. Just meet in the
Oh,
middle
you
here.
have to win too. Okay.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at. It's about 25% chance if it were a flip of a coin for both of us. And I'd say that you have a tough spot there. So maybe like 20% or 15% goes down a little bit, but that's all right.
Yeah,
Fantasy is a cruel mistress.
that it is. Do you have any other line of questions, television show thoughts that you want to get off your chest here?
Um, Not really. If you're going to see the new Spider-Man movie, I would recommend watching Hawkeye because I believe it will tie into
You couldn't
some.
pay me to watch Hawkeye.
That's fair. We were not going to watch it in our household, but then Katie realized, or had read that there are plans for things to happen, and it will be tied into the Spider-Man movie. So we've just been watching for the, understanding the narrative and everything like that.
Yeah, I think they usually explain it pretty well in the movies
They
to
will,
the
yeah.
non television viewers. Like they were doing that with Agents of Shield for years. They were doing like
Fair.
tie-ins to the movie, and you didn't need to watch like Agents of Shield to know what was happening. I like maybe I'm wrong, but Hawkeye looks like the one of the worst shows ever made to me.
Yeah, it's not great, I'll tell you that. But yeah, it's all right.
Not a lot of other. Have you seen Only Murders in the Building?
Never heard of it.
It's really enjoyable. I'd strongly recommend it. It stars Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez
Hmm.
as three people that live in an apartment in New York City, and they're all obsessed with true crime. And a murder happens in the building, and then they decide to create their own true crime podcast as they like investigate the murder that happened in the building. And it's
Hmm.
just kind of an absurd, dark comedy.
Okay, it's called No Murder in the Building.
Only Murders in the Building. Like
Only
they're like
murders.
they're talking about like what they want the podcast to be about, and they're like, oh, someone died in Central Park, and they're like, no, Only Murders in the Building, and they're like, oh, that's a great title for a podcast. Yeah.
Okay, so I might throw that on then. I'm looking for some new shows. So
Did you guys enjoy The Chase?
it is good. It's like Jeopardy on steroids. It's like Jeopardy for people with the attention span of a squirrel, which is enjoyable because it's fast paced. There's no filler. I like how they don't saturate it with backstory and, oh, you're a
Yeah.
teacher. Oh, here's a picture of your classroom. Tell me what. Oh, here's you hiking in the Himalayas. Like here's for 5 minutes they milk that stuff. Like we don't need that on game shows. Like
Also, the host is one of the best hosts. Like she's so funny. Like she like they do a little bit of that background stuff, but like it's
right.
really quick with it. And they were asking this woman, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm like I really wanted to win so I can pay for my wedding. Like we're getting married in Iowa in spring." And the host is just like, "Oh, an Iowa wedding." Like it's what she's always dreamed of. Like no one's talking about
Cornfields.
Iowa weddings. Yeah. She just said like her enthusiasm never wavers. And so that
Mm.
always cracks me up. And then we watched one where it was like two people got eliminated, and then like the final woman ended up winning like the money at the end, like on her own. And that was hype. That was hype.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've watched 5 episodes, and I just saw one where they won, and it was all three of them made it, and they split 360,000. I was like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, it's like the first one we won. They won like the first one we watched. They won like $700,000.
Oh my
I
god.
was like, how is this show gonna survive? And then we watched more. I'm like, oh, they lose a lot
Yeah, they
too.
do.
Yeah, it's just a cool concept, and I like the group of nerds that they have. Like everything about it's just a little silly and goofy, and that's
It is
fun.
very goofy because they're all just like these analytical minds, and they're trying to be funny. And that one guy, I don't know his name. I think he's like the current champion of Jeopardy or something that has like no facial
No
expressions.
personality. Yeah,
Yeah,
James Holzhauer. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, he's
yeah.
just it's deadpan delivery on anything funny he says, and it kind of just has its own hilarity to it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's funny because it's like they're like, all right, be playful, be like kind of snarky, and
yeah,
like the three other guys are all pretty good at it, but when it's
yeah,
him, it's just like he's just being mean. Like it just
yeah.
seems like
He
he's
is
just being mean. It's like, oh,
for
maybe if you weren't
sure.
stupid, you would have gotten that one. Like,
Yeah. Oh man, I love when they ask them like, "Oh, how'd you know that?" And they're like, "Well, I just guessed."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
The one guy that's actually really good is the Buzzsaw. Like I wasn't expecting him to be good. He's like the only guy I didn't really know anything about going into it. And we watched one where he just like did not get a question wrong the entire game. And he
hmm,
knew like I love when they're like the person gets it wrong and then they'll go to the chaser and they'll be like, well, in 1973,
yeah,
Orville Redenbacher like sent his good friend Salvador Dali. And like, yeah,
yeah,
they know everything. Yeah.
that is impressive when they give the whole context. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, all right. Well, now that we're deep into game show talk, we could we could probably wrap this one up.
I think so.
Um, no questions in the chat, but shout out if you did attend. Feel free to submit questions to us online if you're just logging on now as we are signing off. Good luck to those of you that are, fighting for playoff spots. Dane, I hope that you can squeak in.
Yeah, if I can just make one playoff run in one
It's a
league, that will
successful
be,
season if you get into at least one
yeah,
playoffs. Yeah.
yeah. Please God.
All right.
Yep. Thanks for listening. Good luck.
All right. Stream finished.